Hi, good morning everyone. So in today class we will be explaining program.cs file in more detail. Like we will be going each and every line that is there in the program.cs. Usually that all the time developer has a lot of confusion around it, because this class is being created by default once we create any project in that Visual Studio .NET Core. So we will look through each and every line, what exactly those lines are doing. So let's start with that. First, let's see what is the program.cs file is. So in .NET Core, the program.cs file is entry point of your application. So it is the first file that run when your application start. The program.cs is the main starter file in .NET Core application, and it contains a method, main method, which is entry point of your application. Now, what is the purpose of the program.cs file? So there are three major three main responsibility that is part of the program.cs file. First is configure application host. Second is register services, means dependency injection, and third is build and configure middleware pipeline. We will go through each and every example in detail. So let's cover the theory part first. So why that program.cs file is important, like why we need to have it? Is a start point of your application. Configure everything in your application need, define how every HTTP request will be handled, mean that it defines the pipeline of a request. What you will write in the program.cs, that will define pipeline of your request, that I will show you in more detail. It controls the services, middleware, routing, hosting, logging, etc. Now let's go that very first line. You once you open that .NET application, the very first line you will see that where builder web application .createBuilder, and it's accepting that parameter args. So have you ever thought what exactly this line mean and what is this doing? So the .NET Core create a web application builder object. So there is a class in the .NET web application builder, and that it return that create a builder. Then builder prepare everything your application need. Your application need a host. Earlier, like you were able to, if I go back into the .NET application, before the .NET come into the picture, those required that Windows server to host an .NET application. But the .NET Core is a platform independent. It doesn't need to have that IIS server anymore. It can be deployed on IIS server as well as the Linux server. So the application need to create the host itself, and this is where the code is doing. This line create that by default setting use Kestrel as a web server, set up iHost environment, whether it's a development environment, staging environment, production environment, prepare the web root and content root path. Like you saw in .NET, there's a folder www root, where you are placing all your JavaScript, all your static file, images, CSS, everywhere. So this is where that application builder do that. Enable application lifetime handling. And so basically it is the engine that create your full application. Now the second thing is set up the configuration in system, where you know that it automatically load multiple configuration sources, app setting JSON, And app setting dot environment dot JSON, we can manipulate it, like we can create a app setting for development environment and different app setting for production environment and different setting for staging environment. Environment variable, command line argument, user secret, like if we are keeping the user secret, like let's say AWS secret manager or anywhere, the JSON provider, keeper file provider, like for the container. Now the next thing is setting up logging, like console logging, debugging, event source logging, trace logging, that I will cover in next detail. And then set up the dependency injection in the container, that we do that builder.services.add controller or builder.services.add DB context. Like if we are using the entity framework, then we registered the DB context. Now let's go to that this portion here. So here we saw the very first line, create builder. If you go to the definition of the create builder, let me go to the definition, and web application. So here you will able to see this class, shield class web application, is inherited from I host, I and a root point builder, I application builder, and that is where you know that this provide the host, it provide that configuration what I just showed you, like what I told you, that it provide the configuration, it provide that web host, it provided that application lifetime, you are able to see that, and it provides the logger itself. And there are more service like endpoint and all that. So this first line is the major line, and it is creating the entry point for your application. Okay, so next, if you looked at this next line, what it does, builder.services.add controller with views. So this is a pipeline that we are adding a services to that, and we are telling that use controller and views. So here you know that in MVC.NET we have the controller and we have the corresponding views. So this is a line which is enabling them to use. And here this line we are making our application using builder.build. Before that we can use as many as service we wish to by using, like let's say builder.services. If we want to add any transient, any anti-forgery token, any authentication, any other services we want to use, that we can add cookie policy, we can add course policy like cookie policy. Okay, let's say I added, okay, the minimum same site policy should be strict or it should be laxed, unspecified, none. So let's be, so before build we are defining that we are adding more services to that. After it's built, we have the app with us where we can add the pipeline. This is where that we start adding the pipeline. So here you see that the first line that is there, app.use exception handler. So this is a pipeline we added, app.use HTTPS. This is the next pipeline we added, app.https redirection. So this is a pipeline which is being added, and the purpose of this pipeline, if the request is coming without HTTPS, like if somebody, let's say our website has been hosted like www.justwritesolution.com. So if somebody trying to access that HTTP colon and double back forward slash just write a solution. So this line of code will auto redirect to HTTP to HTTPS app.use static file. This is where that it will be enabling that this will be the pipeline which is returning your JS file, image file, CSS file, or any static HTML file. Use routing, this is a pipeline. Okay, let me show you the one thing. Okay, let me introduce a new pipeline just to explain, and let's say run, and I'm not passing that or something. Give me a minute. Run, and let's say I synchronous, I'm passing context and okay, and let's say I said return context.response. okay, now here this is one more pipeline I have been introduced using the anomalous function, where I haven't defined any function, I just pass the context, and if I run the application, instead of showing any home page or anything else, it will only show me that this line of code. So here, see, hello from run delegate middleware. Instead of showing any page or any something, like what I simply did it, I implement. So run is the last pipeline. After that, run never pass that control to the next pipeline, next middleware. Okay, in the .NET Core pipeline we have several middleware. So once you call that run, it doesn't pass control to the next middleware. That's why you are able to see that we are using run at the last. But if I say that instead of run, if I can use, let me show you example, use, and the context, it requires 2 parameter, because that is where it need to pass that it run and then next invoke. So, and I need to make it asynchronous. Okay, so here you can see that what I simply did it, I have this time, if I'm using the use while creating a middleware and introducing a new middleware into the .NET pipeline, then I need to pass the 2 objects, context and next, and where what it does, it pass that request to the next. After that, doing this job, if I run this time, so here, hello from run middleware. I think I'm missing. So here you were able to see that it's still coming to this place. So that's where. So this is just, I showed you that the middleware, how this middleware is working, and how you can introduce your middleware in between. And okay, this is that app.authorization app use routing, use static file. If I remove this line, my app is never going to return me any static file. Like let's say I run this app, run this, and you able to see that. Earlier that time it was bringing up some JavaScript and all that, and even that you can go into the source and you see that file are linked, but though that CSS and bootstrap CSS are there, but it is not being written by server, because we commented out this. If I uncomment it, I rerun the code, and this time let me rerun it again. This time you can see that your website is coming in the way it should be, because this time it returned that the CSS file and the JS file, because we again uncommented this line. In the same case, like if we need to use the session in our application, if we use the session with this code, our session is not going to work. To make the session work, what we need to do is, here we need to introduce use session, and there's an option like we session option, we can pass that new option, and then session option cookie initial, and then ideal timeout, let's say 30, and timeout, let's say 30, unless give a minute. Okay, cookie and is essential, let me true. Okay, so this is where I'm introducing a new pipeline, which is new middleware, which is handling the session, use session, and I'm passing session option like use cookie. So my session will be saved in the cookie. In the similar way, app dot use cookie, use cookie policy, and there that I can pass that cookie policy option. Okay, this is what I already did it here as well. Add cookie policy, this is a policy, and this is I can do it here as well. So it was all about that, what exactly that program.cs file is, what it has, what is the meaning of each and every line that is there in the program.cs. I hope you like the video. Thank you.